Hello everyone and welcome back to Overcoming Graduation with Brian Drury. We have got a great one today for anyone considering starting their own business, becoming an entrepreneur, or anyone who's interested in learning a little bit more about marketing. So tonight my guest is Brad Costanzo, a guy who has been constantly reinventing himself ever since he graduated college. Now he may have graduated with a traditional kind of major, but what he did after graduation was anything but traditional. What he told his dad was that he was preventing a midlife crisis by taking action, striking out into the world, and avoiding the safe route. Now, avoiding the safe route took him on a roller coaster of different jobs, different professions, different things that he tried, but ultimately it led him to entrepreneurship. He learned a bunch of valuable skills, and he gives us a wonderful story about how seemingly unrelated jobs, experiences, professions can all come together to make you a more complete person and help you create a business that you are truly passionate about. We'll hear Brad's story about how he took his original product, which was a set of videos of magic tricks for pickup artists to help guys pick up girls at bars, how he took that from just that video series to a six-figure business, which he eventually sold, how he started his own marketing group called Costanzo Marketing, and then how he got into podcasting with his podcast about marketing and direct response marketing called Bacon Wrap Business. In this podcast, you'll also get to experience what it's like to be involved in the background of the podcasting world when we have a couple technical difficulties. The call drops, we need to restart, and you'll see how a pro like Brad is able to instantly dive back in and pick up right where we left off. He doesn't miss a beat, and you'll also get to see that this isn't perfect. Part of overcoming graduation is about you being more genuine, about you understanding who you are and understanding you don't need to be perfect and everything doesn't need to be exactly how you expect it to be in order to deliver a message or share your message with the world. There are times the call's going to drop, there's times the train's going to go by in your life, there's things that are going to be unexpected, but what's important is that you keep going, you put your message out there, and when you know it's going to help people, you share it as much as you can. So I hope they aren't too much of a distraction. I did edit out the dead time so that you guys didn't have to listen to 30 seconds of nothing. But this is going to be a great one, guys, for marketers, for entrepreneurs, and for people who just want to hear a wonderful life story. Sit back, relax, enjoy, and welcome to another episode. Hi, everyone. Welcome to yet another episode of Overcoming Graduation. My guest tonight is Brad Costanzo, and he has a wide berth of experience to share with you that I know you're going to love. He owned his own information publishing business, which he eventually sold off. He now has his own consulting practice called Costanzo Marketing Group and owns a 5-star rated podcast on iTunes called Bacon Wrap Business, which I highly recommend you go check out after you're done listening to this one. So, Brad, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Well, thanks for having me, Brian. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, I'm really excited. Because marketing, to be honest, is an area that I know so little about, admittedly, and I am just starting to learn and grow into, find books. But I think it's such an important skill because it works into every facet of our lives. I think people kind of limit marketing to flashy billboards and they kind of think of it as advertising. But the reality is marketing yourself, your business, your product can help you in every facet of your life. So
yeah, I think you just said the perfect mouthful there, which is, I mean, marketing is everywhere. Marketing is the way you hold yourself when you're going up to meet somebody of the opposite sex. Marketing is the way that the people you hang out with, the way what people think of you before they ever meet you, and the impression you give. We're all selling ourselves at all times. Marketing is simply being strategic about it. So you can think about it in big corporate terms, entrepreneurial terms, or even social terms. So I think you hit it spot on there.
And what I love too about, I took a look at your blog, I've been listening to some of your podcasts, and I was taking a look at the Costanzo marketing page, and I really loved how you said, we don't use big flashy, this is the new exciting thing. You use proven methods, things that have worked time and time again that are consistent, and then you have guaranteed success or a guaranteed pay per performance method. Is that correct?
Yep, exactly. I mean, I attach the results that I get to the results that my clients get.
That is fantastic. And to the listeners, something that I brought up in a previous podcast, it's Joe Polish talks about the value you get is equal, or it's so closely related to the value you give. And so if you want to increase the value that you're receiving, create and generate incredible, crazy value for your customers, your clients, and the people in your lives. So, Brad, I'm always fascinated by people's stories. I love to hear where they came from, how they came up, and since this is overcoming graduation, to hear when they graduated, where they go to school, what did they study, and then how did that develop over this really impressive career to owning your own information publishing business, to starting your consulting practice, to having your own podcast. What were the steps? I'd love to hear you tell that story.
Yeah, this will be fun to recollect. And, the funny part is, so I'll be 41 this month. So it's been almost, God dang, it's been about almost 20 years, 19 years since I graduated, right at 22 years old. But I still, in my head, I'm still 22. And I mean that in a lot of ways, which is that when a lot of times when you come out of college and you're in your early 20s, the biggest thing that most people have in common is this wide eyes of either, oh crap, what do I do now? And I'm totally confused. Or the world is my oyster. I can't fail at anything. I'm just going to try everything and just get out there. Well, I'm kind of the latter. I still feel as though I've got 80 years left in me. Maybe I do with new technology, but I still feel as though all the time I'm reinventing myself and starting something new. And I've got, in a lot of ways, a lot of the energy I still had and that optimistic outlook. And I think that's super important to not only cultivate, but also to keep. So my backstory is, all going through, when I was in grade school and junior high and high school, I knew I wanted to be, on Wall Street. I wanted to be this high-powered financial guy. I don't know, I watched the movie Wall Street when I was a kid, and I remember that stuff, and I just thought, oh, Gordon Gekko, Bud Fox, that was going to be cool. Big money lifestyle, working and living in New York. Right, so I majored in finance and economics. And by the way, I hate numbers unless they have dollar signs in front of them and they're in my bank account. So, but I did. I was good at it, but I got into it and I thought, all right, I'm gonna take the finance world by storm. And I graduated college, and the first thing I did within a week is I moved to from St. Louis, Missouri to Orlando, Florida, and I took a job working at minimum wage at Walt Disney World Epcot Center, dealing with crowds.
Awesome.
Because I was so burned out on finance and economics, and I had no idea what the hell I wanted to do. My dad almost disowned me. What are you doing? You got a college education. And I told him, I am preventing a midlife crisis, and I'm doing it now. I have to clear my head. I have to figure this crap out. Right? So I moved down there. I knew one person, moved in with him, worked down there, and just let my mind go. So one of the best things you can do when you graduate is, much like I did, is get out there and travel, experience new things. Do not focus on buying toys and clothes and all, that brings a lot of temporary happiness, but go out and move to another country, move to another city, go somewhere else and experience, broaden your horizons. And the reason I say this is not just because it's fun. I say this because it's these experiences that are going to allow you to create opportunities in the future, whether it's the folks you meet, the things you learn, the mental shifts that you have. It's going to allow you to connect dots better than any of your friends or colleagues, and it's what's really helped me, and it's one of the things that's in common with a lot of the folks that I know who are entrepreneurs and super successful. But that is, that's what I did. So I moved to Orlando, and I worked for Disney for a while, and I did a bunch of just different jobs. As I said, I was preventing a midlife crisis, and I had no idea what I wanted to do when I grew up, except that whole dream of finance and economics and Wall Street had lost its luster, and I wanted nothing to do with it. I thought. So I got a little bit burned out at Disney, and I wanted something more substantial, and I moved to Dallas, Texas. Had a little bit of family there. And I said, I'm going to get back into what I know best. And I became a financial advisor for Prudential Securities. And a financial advisor is basically a salesperson. They do not have to be an expert in finance at all. They train you what to sell, and they go get on the phone, talk to your friends, family, neighbors, and sell stocks and bonds and mutual funds and all that. Well, I happen to be pretty good at sales, and I happen to be very good with people. It's just a natural talent that I have. Mm-hmm. What I'm not good at is just putting my head down and hearing somebody tell me no 99 times to have one person tell me yes. And this was back in the days where I was cold calling and my 200 dials a day. I absolutely hated it, but I loved it when I got somebody on the phone and I could persuade them to buy what I had to sell. Mm-hmm. I burned out of that business in about 3 years, mainly because I didn't know how to generate my own leads except for brute force cold calling. Right. And generating leads is one of the key skills of marketing. Whether it's sending people direct mail or whether it's creating relationships with other people who can bring you referrals or building a system so that I'm not always just pounding the pavement. So I knew nothing about that. I got really burned out, and I started investing in real estate. Read a book, Googled how to invest in real estate, ended up buying like 3 or 4 houses and fixed them and flipped them, and I liked that, but I didn't absolutely love it. I'm skipping over a couple of different little things that I did throughout the way. Mm-hmm. But because I want to get to the heart of this.
Right.
Now, once more, here I am now, or at this time, probably in my early 30s. So I've been doing this for about 8 years. So I was probably about 32 years old. And I still had not had any substantial success. I'd made some money in real estate investing, and I'd made some money as a stockbroker, but not a lot. I didn't consider myself a big success. Mm-hmm. I was doing my own thing. Doing my own thing has always been a major criteria of mine because I have major problems with authority. I do not like to have a boss. And I'm sure you and people that are listening can relate, right? Right. So I actually had a job. I got laid off. I read the book, The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss.
Tim Ferriss, one of my favorites.
Exactly. And it turned me on to the concept of, it's about a lot of things. It's about time management. It's about internet marketing, information marketing, idea marketing, outsourcing, delegating things. And the book is a little bit out of date right now based on, if you look at the technology, but the heart of that book still rings true, which is that if you have an idea right now using information, you can sell information, you can put deals together, you can have people work for you who live in other countries that, you can pay them a fraction of what it would cost labor over here, and you can outsource. If it's good enough for big companies, it's good enough for small ones. And the point being was that you can take an idea and a laptop and create your own business and never have to work for anybody else again and do it from anywhere in the world. Well, that seduced me. So I started an information product. I didn't know what I was doing, but I used it as a laboratory to just learn the ropes. Ran that for about 5 or 6 years, turned it into a nice high 6-figure business.
And what was this
bedroom.
Information product? What was it?
Okay, so this is the part that at least a lot of your male listeners are probably going to love.
Buckle up.
So here I was. Did I ever tell you about this when we were sitting around the fire in Scottsdale?
No. I mean, plenty of other interesting stories, but we didn't get to this.
Okay, cool. So here I was, 33, and I did not feel like I was an expert at anything. Here was Tim Ferriss saying, find an expertise of yours and create an information product about it, a home study course. And if you're 22, just graduating college or whatever, you probably don't feel like an expert in anything either. So a buddy of mine said, we had just both read the book by Neil Strauss called The Game, right, about being a pickup artist. And Neil is now a friend of mine, but he laughs when I tell him this story, but I remember him talking about using magic tricks to break the ice with women at bars as part of one of the routines he did to pick up girls. And it was a great book. And I was never a part of this whole pickup artist society, but I was pretty good with flirting with girls. So,
Yeah,
my buddy, what's that?
I was going to say I highly recommend the book. I actually just finished it, and it's for the secret world of pickup artists that many people have no idea if they've heard of, but it's a fantastically written story and a really amazing transformation. So, all right, so
Absolutely. So I noticed that he talked about doing magic tricks in the book, but he didn't teach which magic tricks he did. Now at the time, I love magic, and I had about 20 different bar tricks that I would do when I was just out flirting with girls, and I never even learned them in order to pick up girls. I just learned them around the way, like I'd make a pack of matches disappear or rip a dollar bill in half. These are like, I was winning bets with my buddies. But when I did them with girls, I noticed that it got a good reaction because I also kind of knew how to flirt with them. So my friend and future business partner named TV, he said, well, why don't you create a product teaching guys how to use bar tricks, like teach the whole pickup artist how to use bar tricks. I was like, really? Okay, so here's where we're connecting dots. And having started to study marketing and study information marketing and what creates an opportunity or an idea is you have to look for a market need. So we simply said, look, this book, which is a best-selling book, has brought attention to using magic tricks, but if you Googled out there, which I did, looking for magic tricks for pickup artists, nobody was teaching it. And I had no idea if there was a market for this. But I thought, well, I'm not an expert in anything else. Maybe I'm an expert in this. Now, most people would have went out and created the whole product and then tried to market it. And I said, there's got to be a better way. And what I did instead is I bought a website, and then I put up just a single page. I didn't know anything about building websites. My buddy did. We put up just the most ghetto-looking page. And I wrote sales copy, which I've never done before, for a product that I wished existed, which was my mastery course on using magic tricks, right? So I was like, I wish this product existed. I'm just going to write it as if it does. And I just said, if you're this type of guy, if you're looking for this, you can learn pickup artist magic tricks and blah, 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 blah. And I literally wrote the product that I would have bought if somebody had it. And then when somebody went to go buy the book, it said, thank you for put in your email here to go to the next step, and then thank you for your interest. The product is almost done. I'll let you know when it is. So the number of people, and I bought a little bit of Google AdWords traffic to it just to see, like a couple $100 to see if folks were interested. Before I knew it, I had like 600 people on my newsletter going, dude, where's the book? Right? I was like, oh crap, I guess I got to create it. Yeah. So I gave my buddy a flip camera, and he stood in my living room, and I just started saying, okay, if I'm standing next to a girl, I've got a dollar bill, here's how I'm going to rip it in half, here's what I'm going to say, here's what I'm not going to say, here's how I would flirt with her, here's how to do the trick, next video. And it is ghetto. I mean, it is low, what do you call it, production value, but high, value. It's very valuable stuff. People got a lot of great feedback. So at that point, now we knew we had something. We took us about 2 months to actually launch it, and then when we opened up the shopping cart online and went to bed, woke up the next morning with 5 or 6 sales. By the end of the month, we did like $1,500 that first month, and we were already profitable. And the rest was history. We just used it as a marketing laboratory to figure out, okay, what works, what doesn't, how can we sell this, how can we create relationships with other marketers, learn from them. And and then since then I've created multiple other information products and businesses and consulted with others. I recently, or a few years ago, I sold that business to another person who wanted to buy it and run with it. But it really was the catalyst for me to say, look, I mean, I'm not an expert in anything, but I know how to do this little thing, and I'll bet there's other guys. If I'm interested in it, there's probably other guys around the world who are. And my first 2 customers were from overseas, so I was a multinational corporation from day one. But that's a long story that I just gave you, and I haven't let you get a word in edgewise, but. I'm not. When I told you, I've got like that 22-year-old mentality myself. I'm not joking. I've still got it.
That was fantastic. And I mean, I love to let people go and tell the story because I love it because I know listeners. If you had said to your friends, you graduate college and you said, guys, in a few years, I'm gonna create a business based off a video teaching pickup artists how to do magic tricks, they would have laughed. And they would be like,
you should have seen when I did it. Tell my friends. And they're like, what? And then I said, yeah. You know how I haven't had a job in over a year? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm working in my underwear.
Yeah. Yeah. How about and that's the thing. It's are you? I'm guessing you're familiar with Noah Keegan and AppSumo and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so for the listeners, Noah Keegan talks about so many people when they want to start a business, they're worried. Oh, scalability? It's a big word. They go, oh, how am I going to make $1 million? How am I going to get 1 million customers? It's like, don't worry about that. Find a need that isn't being fulfilled. If you can either fulfill that need or fulfill it better than people that are, go for it and find something you're passionate about or something that you know how to do that you think, hey, this could be fun. And then worry about making your first dollar, making your first sale, getting your first client, because that's where it begins. Like Brad said, and you can see his trajectory of success. It started with one product that he was like, hey, what the hell? Why not even try? He didn't need to invest millions of dollars or thousands or hundreds of dollars in making a website. You can put up a website for about $12 bucks or $50, to get the own it and operate it. He did that, and Noah Keegan also says prove that it has a market. He did that. Got 600 people coming in. And boom, it rolled from there. So,
dude, let me tell you something.
Yes.
Back when this is true no matter when you start, right? So this is a sliding scale. But when I started, this is 2008. Going with internet, any kind of internet technology, getting a web page up, getting all this other stuff up, autoresponders, all the little tech stuff was so hard.
Yeah.
There were so many things you had to learn, and I was like, I had no idea what I was going to do. I was going to pull my hair out, but I learned it because I wanted to know it. Now, the tools, I find myself constantly saying, if only this existed when I was starting off, oh my God. Actually, when I was in college, dude, I graduated in 1996. So the internet, it was really given credit for being born for in mass use in 1994. I remember when I was I think it was 94, 95. We had to take a trip to the computer lab, a special lab on campus. It wasn't even the main computer lab. The only one that had the Mosaic browser, and the teacher, everybody gathered around. She goes, okay, let's go to whitehouse.gov. We're like, oh, what's this World Wide Web thing? And I'll tell you what, right now, talking to your listeners, if you're in your early 20s and you just graduated or whatever, and you are not exploring the various ways that you can make money using the tools that are out there, you're a freaking idiot and you deserve to die, bro. I completely believe that. There are so many opportunities to have money, to make money, to add value globally that did not exist when I was then. As simple as go drive for Uber or Lyft or somebody like that, the mobile technology, which we didn't have, the internet, it is the greatest equalizer humankind has ever known. And you can step up and become a multinational corporation like I did in your underwear with a laptop.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And really, with the tools that are available, it's, so I'm just beginning, creating a business. For now, it's the podcast has started, the blog has started, and I'm looking into the ways that I can start to generate revenue through it. But the thing that I think a lot of people that stops them or freaks them out about it, they go, oh, well, I don't have time. One of the biggest BS excuses that we have in the world. And, I work an 8 to 5. I've worked in 2 Fortune 500 companies. And, so I work full time. And then in my free time, I do this stuff. But like you said, the resources online, I've been able to teach myself so many things. And through WordPress, blogging is a breeze. There's so many podcasting providers. And if you just Google it, you can find out 99%. And then that 1%, they have customer support. There are people out there that can help. And if you know somebody like Brad or somebody who's been there, it's even more helpful because they go, listen, I've been there, try this, do that, take a look here.
Oh, totally. It's Yeah, and what you said something about, not having time. Well, guess what? There is no such thing as time management. Nobody can manage time. You can only manage activities. But everybody has activity management. So you choose how much time you've got. Yeah, if you may not have, you may have to work your day job, your 8 to 5 job, because maybe it's a good job, maybe you like it, you just have to pay the bills, and the boss says, "Hey, you're here from 8 to 5. That's great." But what do you do when you're done? Yeah, you have to sleep, you got to eat, but do you have to watch American Idol? Do you have to do all that other stuff? No. But you choose, hey, I'm going to spend my time calling up Brad and interviewing him. I'm going to figure out this podcasting thing. I'm going to figure out internet marketing. And you manage your activities. So, time management is a fallacy. Activity management is the only thing you have. And that's that's something that if you realize that, it'll change the game for you, because you'll never say I don't have time again. You'll be like, well, I'm just choosing to watch TV instead of doing this.
Right. It becomes a matter of prioritization. Well, like I heard, I forget who the speaker was that said it. They said, instead of saying I don't have time, say it's not a priority, and try that out. And they're like, it gets a little bit harder because you go, well, my health isn't a priority, instead of I don't have time. And people go, well, okay, maybe I should get off the couch. But okay, so we're getting closer to the end here, but I do wanna cover some other things, and so you decide to. What I'm curious is, what was the kind of key point or the thing? I mean, you grew a pickup artist magic trick, homemade base, and to that point, guys. We have so much technology for filming, recording, and everything. I do this off my computer's basic speakers, like. You have it on your iPhone. You can record HD videos. So Brad was probably working with a little more
a little flip camera.
Flip cam. So
not even around anymore.
So you've got everything you need, and most people, not everybody, but most people do. So, but what I'd like to know is, what was the point that you said, you know what, I'm ready to sell, and then what prompted you to go into this consulting business and then start your own podcast?
Oh, okay, great. So I was ready to sell several years prior to me selling.
Okay.
I was burned out. Like, that wasn't a passion of mine. It was fun. I got to admit, it was fun for several years. But I got it to the point where I was really working maybe less than 4 hours a week on that business. And the big fallacy of the 4-hour work week isn't that hey, look, I've got a business. I'm only working 4 hours a week, and the rest of the time I'm surfing. But I had a pretty systematized business that was steadily making me, thousands of dollars every single month, and I was out working on other businesses. So I'd lost my passion for it, and I didn't think there was an actual market for this type of a product that somebody would want to buy it. And I would happen to be talking to somebody else who's their website business, and he sold it through a website broker, which is that's a business that you can start for yourself. I talked to this guy, and he said, yeah, I've got a list of people who are looking to buy different types of websites. So show me your numbers. I showed him my numbers. I said, yeah, it doesn't take much time to manage this at all. It's pretty set it and forget it. And I got somebody who was looking for a good return on investment. They knew a little bit about internet marketing. They didn't have to make a lot of changes. They just had to optimize it. So they bought it. I'm not gonna say how much they bought it for. It wasn't Mark Cuban money, but it was nice.
Right.
And the guy paid me cash, and I walked away from it with a nice little chunk of cash in my account now. And I was happy to let it go and move on to other things. So how did I? And by the way, I always recommend people create a business to potentially sell it, and it'll change. That's a whole nother topic, but it'll change the way you do the business, because you'll make it less reliant on you. Now, how I got into consulting was, I sold that. I'd already been helping out some other friends and people I knew, giving them advice from the stuff I learned. And I didn't have another immediate idea of what I wanted to sell. To this day, it's 2 years later. I mean, I sell my marketing advice now, but I didn't have a product that I wanted to sell. There wasn't a niche that I wanted to fulfill, like the magic tricks thing. And it just still wasn't. Sometimes you can't find that. But I was able to translate the skill I learned over that time to help other people to say, well, look, if you do this, it will grow your business. And then they pay me to work with them and to help get them results. And I get to work on a variety of things, which helps my attention deficit disorder. And I really like working with different folks in different industries. And then I got into the podcast business really because I had so many people telling me I should. And I was like, okay, maybe I will. But I didn't really want to just come out with the Brad Costanzo show because I kind of felt like, who cares? Who's going to listen? Right. But one day I was sharing another friend of mine's podcast on my Facebook. And I was like, you got to listen to this. This is some bacon-wrapped business advice if I've ever heard it. And I read that back to myself. And I was like, bacon-wrapped business advice. I was like, this is kind of catchy. Mm-hmm. So I thought, well, if I ever do start a podcast, it would be called Bacon Wrapped Business with Brad Costanzo. Mm-hmm. And I went out and I registered the domain, baconwrappedbusiness.com. And then a buddy of mine was interviewing me on his podcast, and he said, yeah, so I heard you're going to start this podcast. And I said, yeah, I am. Here's the name of it. And I had no idea when I was going to start it. And I thought I had a couple months before this thing aired. He goes, yep, this airs next week, like 10 days from now. So you better get in. And he gets a lot of traffic. So I had like 10 days to get, I got like 5 episodes recorded real quickly and had to learn. I did nothing about podcasts, but I had to learn it from A to Z in 10 days. Actually, let's just say A to M, because the key is ready, fire, aim. There's a great book by that title too, by the way. Not ready, aim, fire. It's ready, fire, and then adjust on the go, because there's nothing like momentum. Right. Once you get that momentum, it'll kind of keep you going, and it did. And now it's like we get thousands and thousands of downloads every single month, and 5-star rated. It's a lot of fun, and it's been a great way for me to pick the brains of entrepreneurs and mentors. Speaking of that, so Brian, you are picking my brain, right? Right. I don't do this for free to people who just say, Brad, want to grab a cup of coffee? I'd love to pick your brain on something. That is the quickest way to get me to avoid you like the plague. However, you reframed it. And I've done this with other people, and so reframing it is a very powerful strategy. I mean, as I said, I don't sit down for an hour and just let somebody talk to me. My time's too valuable. I could either be working with clients making money, or I could be spending time with my fiance, or I could be spending time on my own, and I value that. However, what you're doing is so powerful because it puts you into relationships with other folks who are maybe way ahead of where you want to be, but it allows you to establish those relationships that can lead to a lot going forward. So not only is it awesome what you're doing, but anybody listening should take note. That is very, very powerful.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. It's I've said it's been so much fun just getting started, because I get to hear these amazing stories. I get to pick people's brains and sit down with people who are doing amazing things that I really, some I want to emulate, some I'd like to do a similar thing or exactly that thing. But for the listeners, so many people wonder, how do I connect with mentors? How do I meet these people? And what I found a great book to read is The Education of Millionaires by Michael Ellsberg, if you want to learn more about how to... What's that?
Yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah, it's a great book on how to genuinely connect. But another thing is pay for their services. Or buy their product and then contact them, because people like Brad and people like, let's say Tony Robbins or any of these people who are very successful, they're doing these things you want to do, their time is extremely valuable. And so when you come with just hands out, like, hey, could you give me some free stuff? You're not bringing any value to them. And on the contrary, when you say, hey, Tony, I read your book, and I tried this, and here's the results I got. Now you're providing them feedback, and that's giving them value. So don't be afraid. If you have done your research, you find someone like Brad who you're like, listen, I know this guy. I heard him on a podcast. I know I'd be willing to invest. I've seen the work he's done. Don't be afraid. I know it's hard. So I graduated with $80,000 in student loans, which I'm paying off with very large monthly payments. I'm working through all that. And I still found a way to go to an event for a speaker named Sean Stevenson, who's one of my favorite speakers. I met Brad. I met most of the other people that I've interviewed so far for this podcast there. And it's one of the best investments I ever made because I was investing in myself. So I just wanted to go off what you had said there, Brad, because it's such a hard thing. People go, where do I find mentors? Where do I meet people? It's find the people who are doing what you want to do or who have done it, and then use them as mentors. I think that's one of the biggest things.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think you're spot on with that. And a couple of you just mentioned those books. A couple other books that I highly recommend. I mentioned the 4-Hour Work Week. We mentioned The Game, obviously, for your male and female listeners. But a couple that I really like. James Altucher, Altucher, wrote a book called Choose Yourself, which should be required reading for every person, but especially young folks.
Okay. And what does it relate to? Choose Yourself.
Choose Yourself. It's really about. So I guess I could sum it up like this. There has never been a time in history where things are changing, the economy is changing, the way everything works is changing. So traditionally, we go to school, we work, we try to get a degree. And why do we get degrees? So that we can get hired. So some hiring manager can choose us as worthy enough to give us money, right? Okay, I choose to hire you. I choose you. I anoint you as worthy. Well, now this is the time when things are changing. People are hiring less. They're outsourcing more. There's more freelancers. People are hiring, more contract labor than they are employees. And it has never been more important to say, screw you, I'm choosing myself. I'm gonna treat my own life like an entrepreneur. Even if you maybe you become a permanent freelancer, which is fine. There's a lot of benefits to that because you can work with whomever you want to because you've developed the skill sets that allow you to say, I don't need you to choose me. I've chosen myself. I'm going to choose, maybe I choose you. I choose the clients I want to work with, not go around begging and schlepping for a job, right? So never has it been more important to choose yourself. At the same time, never has it been more easy to choose yourself with the tools and the resources that we've talked about. You can go out and you can help people in a foreign country, people in India, Pakistan, Philippines, etc. help me all the time when I hire them to do sometimes small, sometimes advanced tasks. So it's about a lot more than that as well, but that's kind of the gist of how to harness the changes that are happening for positive. Otherwise, you'll get completely run over by them if you don't. One of the most important business books ever written, in my opinion.
What else?
Choose Yourself. Another one is Millionaire Fastlane, which talks about the. I really don't. That and the next book I'm going to recommend. Very similar titles. I don't like either of them because they kind of sound hokey, like Millionaire Fastlane, Get Rich Quick, whatever. But he talks about the components of a fast lane business, which is very similar to this, and it's one of the best books I've read. I highly recommend Millionaire Fastlane to every single person out there considering entrepreneurship. If you're not considering entrepreneurship, then go read Dr. Seuss. And the other one, very similar title, just read this year and it blew me away, is called Millionaire Master Plan. Once more, Millionaire Master Plan sounds kind of like every other title out there, but it's remarkable in the way that it has you take kind of an online test to find out not only where you are in life, but what your area of genius is. Mine happens to be revolving around people. Others are revolving around ideas or processes or whatnot, and it allows you to see how to climb the ladder of success in a way that's really customized for you. And I read it like 4 times, took a million notes, and I was like, wow, this is crazy good. So yeah, Choose Yourself, Millionaire Fastlane, Millionaire Master Plan, Ready, Fire, Aim I talked about is another amazing book. And that should keep y'all busy for a little while, but those are ones that have made a big impact on my life.
And I would ask too. So those sound very entrepreneurial. They also sound about it sound like it's about finding yourself. Now, from a marketing perspective, if somebody wants to learn marketing, what are the top 2 books you recommend to say you want to learn marketing, or especially direct response for young marketers who want to start their own business?
Well, just subscribe to the Bacon Wrapped Business Podcast.
Exactly.
It is sizzling hot ideas guaranteed to make you fat profits.
See how I set you up?
So that's my podcast. The other books, so really dependent on marketing, anything by Dan Kennedy and Jay Abraham, they're the kind of like the 2 grandfathers. You can subscribe to the GaryHalbertLetter.com. That's the GaryHalbertLetter.com. One of the greatest direct response copywriters. He's passed away, but amazing information. You've got anything by Dan Kennedy, Frank Kern, Jay Abraham. Those are the guys that I listen to quite a bit.
Okay. Yeah, we for the listeners, we were lucky enough to see Jay Abraham speak, and the guy's amazing. Just really
absolutely
brilliant mind, and he's moving a mile a minute. So I highly recommend those. So Brad, we're coming up on time here. I got one more question for you. This is how I like to close out all my interviews. And
Shoot.
So now you said you're 44 now, right?
Hell no, I'm 40. I will be 41. I'm still 40 for a couple more weeks.
40. Okay, so I see.
Hey, you just aged me, man.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
I thought we were friends.
You look so youthful. How did I even go there? So sorry about that. But so what I like to ask people is, now at this age, you've had so much experience. You've gone from St. Louis to Orlando to Dallas. You worked as a financial advisor in real estate. And then you start your own business, you sell it, you start another. You've had so much experience. There's obviously been ups and downs. There's trials and tribulations that life throws at you, and you've still been able to find this success and this growth throughout all that. So if you could go back and talk to the 21, 22-year-old you that was graduating college, what is the advice you would give to them? And what is the advice that you would give to kids who are just graduating college now on how to go about finding their dreams and creating what they want to bring to the world?
So the first part of that was, what advice would I give myself?
Yes.
Which is basically the same advice I would give, the people, now. Number one, study. I'll say study marketing only because, man, it's been so powerful, because marketing is what all businesses run on, and you don't have to be an expert. You absolutely don't. But understand the basics of how to sell something, because nobody gets paid anything in any business until somebody buys something from someone, right? Mm-hmm. So it's the fundamental engine of all business is selling. So I would say, A, learn sales and learn marketing. The two are so closely related, but sales is obviously, one-on-one, and then marketing is the way you attract people to get them into your door. Mm-hmm. The chief role of any CEO or founder of a business, CEO maybe at a different level, that's dealing with investors, but the chief level of the founder of a company is always to sell the damn product first and foremost, and then later on you get better at operational stuff. But learn sales, learn marketing, sell something, sell anything. I don't care if you have to start with network marketing, multi-level marketing companies, which I don't personally, it's not my cup of tea, but you learn how to get out there and sell. The other thing is to stay extremely curious. Screw following your dreams. Your dreams are probably stupid anyway, honestly. But most people's are. They're dumb. Like, I want to make money doing, playing video games. Well, number one, you can. But number two, not every passion or dream has profit potential behind it. And I say study what makes the world go round and then find ways to add value to that. The way you do that is staying curious. Learn to ask amazing questions. If you see somebody driving up in a Ferrari, don't go talk to them and say, hey, that's a nice car. Walk up and say, hey, listen, can I ask you what you do for a living to be able to afford such an amazing car? I think, you must be, you must be doing something right. That was in the movie The Pursuit of Happiness with Will Smith. Yeah. But that's that curiosity that is going to create the opportunities in your life, and you're going to realize that there are so many opportunities that will floor you. out there. People making money in ways that you've never imagined, and it's not being a doctor, dentist, lawyer, engineer, financial advisor, accountant. It's stuff like what I did. Sell magic tricks to geeks who want to get laid. So that it's kind of like the Dos Equis guys, like stay thirsty, my friends. I say stay curious, my friends. Stay curious. That's really what's gotten me to where I am, and it cultivates a lifelong love of learning.
That's fantastic. My dad has always said to me that he thinks one of the greatest compliments you can give someone is that they are eternally curious. So
yeah,
that goes right along with it. So, all right, guys, we're going to wrap this up now. Brad, I got to thank you so much for being on the show, man. This has been awesome.
My pleasure, brother. And good luck to you and everybody else out there.
And everyone, you got to check out Bacon Wrap Business. It's on iTunes. You can look it up just through a Google search. I was just listening to
baconwrapbusiness.com. Yeah, absolutely.
Baconwrapbusiness.com. You can find it in a number of ways. I was just listening to Brad's interview with Todd Brown today. I was learning.
That was a good one.
It was great. I'm driving to work. I'm learning. Take every opportunity, guys. Don't listen to the radio. Don't waste your time with that nonsense. Learn something. Take something in. Listen to an ebook. Or listen to some music that really brings you joy. That radio is just nuts. So, Brad, thank you again, man. For all the listeners, this will be up on overcominggraduation.com. I'll provide links to Bacon Wrap Business, the website, and also directly to his iTunes link. So, Brad, this was awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time, and hopefully we'll be talking again soon.
My pleasure, amigo. Keep up the good work.
All right, man. Bye now.
Cheers.